An HGTV legend, a renowned Nashville personality, and a terminally ill woman whose brief TV stint left a mark. These HGTV stars may be gone, but they're not forgotten. To say that Carol Duvall was an HGTV icon would be an understatement. One of the first original stars of the Home Improvement Channel, her decade-long run on The Carol Duvall Show turned her into a creative phenomenon known as the Queen of Crafts. She more than justified that nickname, keeping television audiences enraptured with her innovative yet accessible approach to DIY home crafts for years. She kickstarted her television career back in the 1950s, when by her own acknowledgement, the technology was a rarity.
When I started in television, there was no television, basically.
Speaking on When Creativity Knocks, she went on, "The one thing that was unique about what I did, besides the fact that I was a woman, was that I had never done radio or anything." The early phase of her on-screen career in Michigan comprised of hosting stints, including on a children's show, before it gradually took shape into crafting expertise over a decade. She told the Knight Ridder News Service in 1999, "I'm not a crafter who got on television, I'm a television person who got into crafting." Her association with ABC's Home Show in the 1980s and eventually with HGTV was her crowning glory. Duvall died in 2023 at the age of 97, survived by a son and legions of fans who commemorated her trailblazing television presence. She spent the final years of her life at a senior living facility in Traverse City. Suzanne Whang's life story extended far beyond the scope of HGTV, but the television star was best known and most beloved as the voice of the reality production House Hunters. Her death in 2019 followed a long experience with breast cancer, with which she was first diagnosed in 2006. A comedian and actor as well, Whang pushed through with good humor and was candid about her cancer journey, documenting it on social media and raising funds for treatment. She died at 56. Whang boasted a wide and varied filmography, appearing in shows like The Mick, as well as star-studded films like Constantine. Her longest association was with HGTV, beginning in 1999 and spanning nearly a decade. The network commemorated her in a statement specifically honoring her distinctive voice that made everyone feel at home. Bill Beckwith built a wide fan base during his short stint as the beloved host of Curb Appeal. His fame on the Home Improvement Show was a culmination of his lifelong expertise as a builder. Beckwith got an early start in construction, working around his family's farm in Maine, and further honing his skills during his years in college. By 1995, he had turned his strengths into a business with BB Design Build, a construction company he founded. But Beckwith's glowing career came to an abrupt end when he died in a road accident. Beckwith was on a motorbike in San Francisco when a car collided with his vehicle late one evening in December 2013. The television star was rushed to the hospital, but died of his injuries soon after the accident. He was 38 at the time of his death. Given Beckwith's popularity with television-watching masses, his death prompted an outpouring of grief. HGTV commemorated their late star's creativity, adventurous spirit, and general love of life, while his friends, family, and girlfriend left heartfelt messages on social media. Frank Miller was a core member of HGTV's Flip or Flop. He was close pals with the show's celebrity hosts and was gifted with just the coolest nickname ever, The Tank. A contractor with an extended association with the show, Miller was a known name among long-standing fans. So when news of his deteriorating health came to light, it was emotional. During his time on Flip or Flop, Miller began experiencing discomfort in his throat. The diagnosis pointed to laryngeal cancer. The disease seemingly affected Miller severely, evident most markedly in his changed appearance and through host Tarek El Moussa's social media updates about his health. El Moussa wrote in a post, "He's been through so many radiation treatments, chemo treatments, he's lost so much weight, but I can say he's a fighter, absolutely."
My hope for Frank is very simple. I want him to stay alive.
Support poured in for the beloved HGTV contractor, with monetary contributions coming in for his treatment as well. In July 2017, El Moussa informed audiences that Miller was rushed to the hospital, writing, quote, "His body is shutting down." Miller passed away later that same year. Few daytime show enthusiasts wouldn't be familiar with the phenomenon that was Chris Hyndman. The famous designer and media personality was nothing short of a television brand, paired regularly with his husband and collaborator, Steven Sabados. His death in August 2015 came as a shocking event. Hyndman's body was found on a street near his home in Toronto. According to People, police authorities did not suspect foul play in the matter, with popular consensus pointing to a possible accident. Hyndman's friends and family confirmed that the television star was prone to sleepwalking. His grandfather said, "His mother knew that he was a chronic sleepwalker, and that was her first thought. No drugs or no alcohol were involved." A cause of death was not formally released, though Sabados rejected the sleepwalking theory. He told CBC, "I don't know what happened, and I can't sort of pursue it." Though their CBC show Stephen and Chris was definitive to their joint fame, Hyndman and Sabados's long-term HGTV association with shows like Designer Guys and Design Rivals was key in turning them into popular small-screen stars. Troy Shafer garnered great renown on Nashville Flipped, a DIY network show that shared a parent company with HGTV. A Pennsylvania native with youthful dreams of turning music into a career, Shafer diverged from his family business of home building and made his way down south to Tennessee. However, he was destined to come full circle, and Shafer eventually found his calling as an expert renovator of historic homes. It was his own enterprise that grew into his namesake show, which made Shafer a household name among television audiences. He wasn't supremely enthusiastic about being filmed at his work sites, stating at the end of the first season shoot, "The worst is behind me, the long hours and the cameras." Nashville Flipped went on to run for another season. His strategic approach to sensitively and economically flip 19th and 20th century homes found many takers in Tennessee until his tragic death in 2019. Shafer was 38 when he died in his sleep, his brother confirmed to TMZ. At the time, Shafer's family said they didn't know about any medical conditions that may have caused his death. A report from the coroner's office later disclosed that Shafer died of combined drug toxicity, terming his death accidental, according to WKRN-TV. DIY Network issued a statement for their late star, describing him as, quote, "a dedicated, driven entrepreneur and restoration expert who was admired by everyone who worked on the series."
It's going to be a masterpiece.
With just a brief appearance on Christina in the Country, Jessica Waldron made a memorable impression on HGTV audiences. Host Christina Hall was sought out to make wheelchair-friendly upgrades to Waldron's home in Tennessee after her ALS diagnosis left her increasingly immobile.
Beautiful. My word of the year is ease.
Unfortunately, Waldron could not live to see the renovations Hall made, passing away in November 2022 before the project was completed. She is survived by her husband and 2 children. A clinical psychologist from Stanford University, Waldron became acquainted with Hall through her sister-in-law, who is also a close friend of the HGTV host. Echoing the emotional value that the project held for her, especially in the light of Waldron's death, Hall recalled for People, "This project was extremely difficult for me as well as the whole crew. At each monthly check-in, we saw Jessica's health continue to decline." The circumstances also induced a panic attack in Hall, who found it hard to cope with her client's deteriorating condition, she told People. Although she never got to see her home remodel complete, it was her vision for her family and something I am proud to have done for them. As far as money was concerned, the sky was the limit for John Combe, or so he memorably stated in the 4th season of HGTV's Hometown, lending the episode not just a limitless budget, but also a fitting title, The Sky's the Limit. Described by host Ben Napier as a globetrotter, Combe left audiences fascinated by waving an upper limit on his expenditures for a lavish home in Mississippi. He said on the show that money was not a problem for him.
I'm tired of big cities, and I fell in love with the town of Laurel. It's just a place to where I can come and relax and just enjoy life.
Unfortunately, Combe couldn't enjoy his stylish new pad for too long. In an Instagram post shared just weeks after Combe's Hometown episode aired in 2020, host Erin Napier shared that Combe died in Laurel. She wrote in an Instagram post alongside glimpses of Combe's Spanish-inspired home that the Napiers had designed. "He squeezed every last drop out of life, and I'm honored we got to help make his last earthly home such a special one." The sprawling residence that Combe was so invested in was a historic structure dating back to the 1950s, procured by him for $200,000. Gail O'Neill's overarching claim to fame was as a pioneering 90s supermodel with a glittering resume boasting some of the biggest brand names in the world. Across covers of esteemed magazines like Sports Illustrated and Vogue to fashion houses, for the likes of Donna Karan and Calvin Klein, O'Neill had a ubiquitous presence that made it near impossible to forget her face. HGTV fans will recognize her for different reasons, though, since her fame transcended the scope of fashion. In her later life as a television presenter, O'Neill joined the network as a host on Mission Organization and Public Places, Private Spaces, emerging as one of the most notable HGTV faces in the 2000s. In the words of a former modeling agent of the host, Stephanie Grill, everybody wanted to work with Gail O'Neill. Before her death in 2023, O'Neill had also ventured into journalism, a natural progression from her days as an outspoken Black model who was unafraid to dip her toes into advocacy for social causes. She worked with the Atlanta nonprofit Arts ATL, where colleagues reminisced their time with the late model fondly. Executive editor Scott Freeman said, "She had the ability to take a reader along for the ride on her journey of discovery." Though the cause of O'Neill's death was not revealed, the organization mentioned that she had an illness during her final years.